I prefer to use the new ergonomic swivel knife with a thin 1/4 inch angle ceramic blade. This is my preference, and of course I have a piece of cardboard here treated with the white Jeweler's Rouge to keep my knife stropped. So we will begin by cutting the main parts with the swivel knife as we did when we started with the tracing. I'll do the horns first. And then I will do the eyes next. Now, it's very important to be careful as you do the eyes. I will give you a little closer look at that. I'm very carefully cutting the top part of that opening, and then I will next carefully cut the eyelash. Now, do not cut real deep here, because if you do, then the eyelash will get too big. And then I will cut the eyeball. Now the other one will do that the same way. Cut the upper opening. Cut the eyelid, very shallow, and then the eyeball. And that's how your eyes should look at this point. We will now go down and cut the nostrils. Now we'll cut those rather deep. And taper off the cuts slowly. Next, I will cut around the nose. Here again, rather deeply. Turn the leather as needed to keep the knife cuts coming toward your body. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll start cutting the ears. The next thing I'll do is start cutting the ears. Now we're going to do that with short little cuts. I'll start at the top and notice the direction of the cut. This is important. These are short, deep cuts, and you need to get them going in the right direction, which would be the direction the way the hair would fall, and you determine that by referring to Tony's original sketch. Short, deep cuts, and getting the proper flow to them. You can see now, as we're doing this, our ear will begin to take form. Now we will start cutting the hair around the face. Longer cuts here because this is longer hair. Here is a better look at the cutting we're doing so far. Now we will begin cutting the hair on the top of the head, and you'll notice these are longer strokes, and it's very important here to keep these going in the proper direction, because this will help you form this area on top of the head, which is very shaggy, and the hair is fairly long. So please note how I am doing this, doing it with longer cuts, and some of them coming up into the center of this area. As we get around the side and nearer the top, we can shorten up these cuts. If you will study the picture again, you'll see you'll have sort of a forelock up here, and so for that reason we will bring some of these cuts around up here, shorter ones, and sort of form. We'll sort of form this forelock here with some short cuts coming in towards a center. And here you have a picture of what the carving should look like to this point when we have done most of the swivel knife cutting. Now at this point in time, we'll go to the beveling. To do the beveling, we will use 3 sizes of the figure carving bevelers, the F897, 896, and actually it's a B200 smooth beveler, and an F936 checkered beveler for inside the nostril, and very much of this will be done with the F902 pointed beveler. I will begin with the largest, the F897 beveler, and I will use this to start by shaping the nose, and you'll notice that I'll lean the tool back and taper it off slightly. Do the same thing to the other side of the nose. If you get a few tool marks, don't be concerned about that, because this being a buffalo, everything is kind of shaggy, so we can not worry too much about that. And I'll take now my smaller one, and I'll use that around the front of the nose. Now if you want, you can back with the bigger one and then taper this off. I will form the lower lip, because I have a dotted line there. I'll form that lower lip with just the beveler. I have not cut that, just using the beveler. We will also do this to bevel outside of the horns. Actually, I'm using a B702 beveler to bevel around the outside of the horns, because Later on, we will be putting a rough texture on the outside, and this will match up to those tools better. So here I will use the B702 checkered beveler. Next, I will do the beveling of the eye with a pointed modeling spoon. I'll start first with that upper cut that we did, and we will press down and deepen that point, and now we will very lightly bevel the eyelid or the eyelash. And then we will do the lower part of the eyeball. Now, do not press hard. We just want to round this, and you can use your point and deepen the point, as you can see, but do not press real hard. Now we will also use this to create the skin ridge under the eyeball. Here again, do not press real hard and taper it off. Now, the area above the eye, we will also just bevel that with the modeling spoon. Now we will do that to the other eye as well. We will also use the point of the modeler to add some rough texture to the horns. May just make random impressions and having them flow with the direction of the horn. And then take the spoon and round off the horn ever so slightly. And of course we'll do that to the other horn as well. We will also use the rounded modeling spoon to round off the edges of the nose. Next, I will use the 902 checkered beveler to bevel inside of the nostril, and the reason I'm using a checkered beveler is I want some more texture in there, and this will give it to me. Now, remember we had a cut line and we also had a dotted line. So with the dotted line, I will now bevel a little more lightly and shape the opening for the nose. We'll do the same thing to the other nose.